Hi, everybody. I'm Chad Pinkerton of the Pinkerton Law Firm. My partner and I represent quite a few individuals related to the Vegas shooting. We actually represent over about 1,400 folks, so we're going to be heavily involved in this litigation. And what we're discovering is a lot of people have a lot of questions about this lawsuit, but right now what I'm hearing is a lot of questions about this Victims Fund. So today's topic will be about the Victims Fund. The Victims Fund is a conglomerate of a lot of donations that were made through various individual donors, and what happened was that they brought it all together to about $22 million. There's not multiple funds. This fund is not to be confused with the Crimes Victims Fund. This is for those people that were injured in relating to the shooting. So this $22 million will be divided up amongst people that qualify. The people that put this together decided, look, we don't have enough money to cover everyone. So one group of individuals that won't qualify for any of these funds are the people that just had PTSD injuries. So if you didn't have a physical injury, you're not going to qualify. Now, some people will say, you know, that's not fair. And to some extent, I would agree that it wouldn't be fair because emotional trauma related to this event is very, very serious and should be taken absolutely seriously. And those people are absolutely harmed, and I represent many people with PTSD injuries. But there's just not enough money. $22 million will not go that far with over 58 people killed, 500 people shot, 2,000 trampling injuries. So if you qualify, the families of the deceased certainly qualified. Those with brain injuries or paralysis qualified. Those people that went to the doctor or admitted to the hospital before October 10th qualify. Those are the real qualifications. What you have to do is you have to go online. There's no paper form. You can't mail your application in. It has to be in an online form. A part of this process that you need to know is you got to sign a HIPAA. What the HIPAA allows the committee to do is get your medical records to make sure to put you in the right box to see what funds that are going to be made available to you. I want to make sure that I say something really clear. The committee for this fund has done an amazing job. I know that it's taken some time, and when you're dealing with this many injuries and how do we disperse this money, a lot of discussions have to be had, a lot of decisions have to be made, and they've done a wonderful job. And I think that this process will conclude rather quickly, but you have to understand after everybody submits their information by January 31st, then there's the process of vetting those and then deciding who and how much each qualified person gets. So it's going to take some time. It's not like checks are going to be cut tomorrow. So be patient with the process. Many people in the state of Nevada and even the state of Nevada were very generous to help folks. And this is $22 million that's going to help some people that really, really need it. And as a lawyer, some lawyers are handling this and possibly taking fee out of this. That's absolutely not the case with my law firm. All of the money that you get from the fund would go to you. My clients know this, that I'm helping all of my clients that qualify to get their online application completed. If you need help on it, call your lawyer or get a lawyer, or you can go to the fund itself and look it up and read it. But get on it and get going on it because time is running out here. So what we're going to do today is there's going to be question and answers. I got my friend Joey over here. Joey's the moderator. Since I am not technologically savvy, he is going to help me with that process. So Joey's going to shoot me some questions. Joey, do you have a question for me?
I sure do. Yeah, I've got a couple here lined up. I believe you mentioned it earlier, but how would one go about accessing the Las Vegas Victims Fund? Okay,
so to access it, you just need to go to the it's called LasVegasVictimsFund.org. And when you click on that, all the information will be there. You can read through it, and that's how you'll access the information. Just make sure you fill out your application properly. I mean, some of the questions related to the deceased families, the families of the deceased, they're pretty complicated. You're going to need your lawyer to help you get those answers. And even for the more severely injured, I would suggest that you have your lawyer help you through the process. Anything else, Joey? What's next?
Of course, yeah, and I'm here watching the chat too, so if you have any questions at home, you can feel free to drop it in the chat and I'll see it and I might ask them. But yeah, so is there a deadline to accessing the Victims Fund?
I hope I said it. January 31st, days away is your deadline. And it's an absolute deadline. You can't say, I forgot, or I thought I hit send and it didn't go through. You need to make sure that you send it in advance and then check that your application is included in the process. So don't be late. There's not going to be any extensions to my knowledge. We've had a great deal of time since October until now, and I think the fund is feeling some pressure to, listen, we have this money, we need to get it dispersed, and how can we do it efficiently? And one way to do it efficiently is to have a deadline. And I think everybody should know and understand it's a hard deadline. January 31st is your deadline.
All right, January 31st, no extensions.
Listen, guys, if y'all have some questions, and we're going to get a lot of questions here today, but if you need to email my law firm for a question, go to LasVegas@chadpinkerton.com, and we'll answer your questions. If we don't answer them tonight, I'll send you an email with the answer personally and get your question answered. But we may not get to all of your questions, but we'll do the best we can.
So, Chad, what documents should I submit with my claim?
Okay, so what you're going to have to do is there's a process, and they're going to ask you online a bunch of questions. Of course, you have to answer each one of the questions, but the one singular document that you have to submit is the HIPAA release. The HIPAA release is fundamentally important for the committee. What they're going to do is they're going to take that HIPAA release, and that allows the committee to get your medical records. And unless they can get your medical records, then they can't determine what to give you from the fund. So they have to have their medical records. It will then go to a review committee. The review committee will look at the records, and then they'll make a recommendation to the board. And then the board will approve or disapprove of the recommendation. That is how much money each individual will get.
So since it's tax season and all, if I receive some money from the Victims Fund, will it affect my taxes?
Okay, that's a very, very good question. It's a gift. So you will not be taxed on any of the money that you receive from the fund. It's a gift. It's not taxable, federal or state level. So it's not like you have to include it on your tax returns. I'm not a tax lawyer and I'm not an accountant, but my understanding it is a gift and it won't be included in your income. Another issue on that point is this. The state and the hospitals have a right to be reimbursed for the care that they provided individuals that were hurt that evening. So they can ask for some of that money back to cover their cost in caring for the hurt individuals. But what I have today is a confirmation for the state of Nevada, at least, that they won't be seeking any reimbursements from the fund. So if you get money, the state of Nevada or its hospitals are not going to be asking you to pay back money. That's a very important thing. So this money is actually money that will go to the victims in their pocket, not only for outstanding medical bills that they may have, but also future care that they're going to need.
And you mentioned it earlier, but so the Victims Fund, is it only limited to people who were shot?
No, that's not actually true. You have the families of the deceased, okay? Those are the people that lost their lives, the 58. Then you have the people that were actually shot. And if you went to the hospital and you were treated either in the hospital and admitted before October 10th, or you saw your doctor on your own before October 10th, or you went to an emergency room before October 10th, then you qualify. There's another subcategory there is the brain injury category and the paralysis category. That's category number 2. So there's 4 categories of qualified individuals, and you'll just have to look and see if you qualify. One of the things that I have to do as a lawyer, if I have 1,400 people, I need to know what each one of their injuries were. I need to know when they went to the doctor. We've been vetting this for a while because we knew it was coming. So we're prepared to help our individuals. But if you're out there and you don't know, you need to look at these categories and determine whether you qualify. Here's something I'm going to try to help the committee on this also. If you know you don't qualify, say you're a PTSD only, or you didn't go to the doctor until after October 10th, don't send something in, because you're not going to qualify, and it's just going to bog down the process for the committee. And I think the goal of the committee now is to get this money to the people that need it as soon as possible. If 22,000 claims come in for PTSD only with HIPAAs, doing their job, they're going to have to go through that. That's going to slow down the process. So make sure you look at the qualifications, and if you do qualify, submit your form. If you know you don't qualify, don't submit anything. That's just going to take too much time. But if you think you might qualify, talk to your lawyer or go ahead and submit your form. All right, what else, Joey?
All right, well, I'm watching the chat here, and you can feel free to comment at home, too, if you have any questions you'd like to ask. But I do have one from Carmen, and she says, do Canadians qualify? Absolutely.
Any victim of this tragedy qualifies. It doesn't matter where you are from. I represent people from Canada, Las Vegas, California, Arizona, Texas, New Mexico, North Dakota. People from all over the country and Canada came to this concert. It's a very popular event. People go to it year after year after year to enjoy this event. And so where you're from doesn't impact whether you qualify for this fund. You qualify if you were injured and you sought medical treatment or somebody in your family is deceased.
All right, thank you. Very good question.
Thank you, Carmen.
Yeah. I do want to ask, so what all does this Las Vegas Victims Fund pay for? Is this doctor's bills, therapy bills? What all does it include?
So that's an interesting question. So the fund is for the victims. So once the money is released and the fund determines that you are qualified and you get the money, then the money should be used as the victim sees fit to pay past medical bills, to get future coverage for medical if it's needed. But it's not going to be the committee or the fund's prerogative to later look and oversee what you're doing with your money. This money is for victims. Victims need to use it as they see fit for their best interest.
Perfect. What if I've already hired a lawyer to bring a case for my injuries present? Do I still get to apply for this fund?
Yeah, having a lawyer or being a part of the litigation has nothing to do with if you can be qualified for this fund. Okay, the fund is separate and distinct from any lawsuit that may be involved with lawyers and MGM and Mandalay Bay and CSC and Live Nation. That lawsuit will be separate from this. The lawsuit will be handled by the lawyers. But if you've hired a lawyer, what I would do is ask your lawyer, hey, help me with this fund, make sure I get the application done correctly. If you don't have a lawyer and you're concerned of whether you qualify and whether you're doing it correctly, call a lawyer. I'm sure they're happy to help you. But you don't have to have a lawsuit to qualify for this. And what we're trying to do as lawyers is we've asked MGM specifically, say, listen, if these people get this money from this fund, are you going to ask for a credit, meaning you want some money back if they win in a lawsuit? We don't have an answer back from MGM. It seems pretty obvious to me that the good people that made these donations should have the donations go to the people that were injured. And this money should have no impact on any litigation. Either way, the people should get the money and be able to use the money as they see fit. Okay, Joey, I think I answered that one.
Of course.
What else?
So you mentioned MGMs. Do you believe that they have any responsibility in the matter, or was this just an act of a lone gunman?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I've gotten this question a lot. Early on, the public doesn't really know everything the lawyers know about security at venues like this. Obviously, as a lawyer that represents 1,400 people, and we will be suing MGM, we feel like they're responsible. And they're responsible because they had a job, they had a duty to protect the patrons. MGM was fully involved in this concert. The concert was put on basically by MGM. The concert was at an MGM-owned property. And if you're going to gather people to a specific location to enjoy a concert and have them spend their money and come to your hotels, the one basic thing you can do for them is to provide protection for them. Make sure they're safe. The hotel, Mandalay Bay, MGM utterly failed all of these people on protecting them from a shooter. It's not a surprise in the United States of America today that we could have an active shooter. There's no question that that could happen. The question is, are you going to prepare for it if it does happen? And what we know now is that MGM wasn't prepared and didn't take the time to prepare, to prevent. Our position in this lawsuit with MGM is going to be no bullet should have ever been fired. They had 36 plus hours to make sure that this didn't happen by following normal standard safety protocols and security protocols, even their own protocols. If they would have followed their own protocols, this could have been prevented. So that's going to be our position in the lawsuit. But so do I think MGM's responsible? Yeah, I think MGM's responsible. What's up? What else, Joey?
All right, yeah, and I'm watching the chat here, so if you have anything to say, comments, questions, concerns, you can drop it right here, and I'll keep an eye on it. I did have a question. What's going to happen to the estate of Stephen Paddock?
Okay, yes, that's come up quite a bit. So Stephen Paddock, it's been out in the news. There's no direct numbers yet, but let's just say this perpetrator had $5 million, and then it goes into probate, and then his creditors will get access to that money, so all of his debts are paid. My knowledge is the creditors or the debts are going to exceed this $5 million. So what is going to be available for victims is very questionable. Now, the lawyers in this case on the plaintiff's side have taken some action to make sure we preserve that $5 million so it can go to the victims, because that's where it should go. This man did this thing to many people, harmed and killed many people, so the money should go to the victims, not other creditors. There's a friend of mine, his name is Craig Island. He's a great lawyer from Austin, Texas, and he has taken the lead on this, and what he's asking the other creditors to do is say, listen, waive your debt so the victims can have this money. And you know what? We're having a great deal of agreement so far from creditors on doing that. And what we're going to try to do is work through the process so these creditors can maybe waive their debt so the victims can actually have this money. There's also the issue is when a lot of creditors come in and try to get the money from this estate, it creates lawsuits. And $5 million with a lot of lawsuits is not a lot of money. So if there's a lot of lawsuits and fighting over this debt, all the money is going to be in the hands of the lawyers in the end. And none of it's going to be in the hands of creditors or victims. So our position as the plaintiff's lawyers in this case is let's get that money to the victims. And the way we're doing that is just through dialogue. And I think we're having some success. And Craig is heading that up, and I'm very proud of Craig and his work, and he's done a great job.
Thank you, Chad.
What's next?
Yeah, I do have, so you're talking about the case a little bit, but what is the current status of the case?
Okay, so the case has not been filed. There have been several cases filed in various different jurisdictions by lawyers. This past week, the lawyers that represent individuals, mainly the main lawyers, all got together and had a meeting and had a discussion about how the case will proceed in an orderly fashion. Meaning, well, let's get our ideas together, let's get our thoughts together, let's work together so we can bring justice for those people that were injured or killed. It's going to be a fairly slow process here at the beginning, meaning that I don't think you're going to see a lot of lawsuits filed in the coming weeks or days. I think that in the coming months, we're going to see the lawsuit filed and the lawyers all working together as a group to make sure that the truth is put before a court and that those that are responsible are held responsible. But right now, I think all the lawyers that are representing individuals are in the investigation process, gathering information, helping their clients, gathering information about their clients. That's what's going on right now. Also, of course, there's a lot of legal discussion on what the law is and how to address the legal issues in the case. That's where we're at right now.
Perfect, thank you. So I wanted to ask, and we touched on this a little bit earlier, so if someone's already brought a case against Mandalay Bay, can they still apply for the Las Vegas Victims Fund, or vice versa? If they've already done the Las Vegas Victims Fund, can they still bring a case?
Yeah, I think I answered it, but that is a question that's come up over and over again. If I get money from the fund, am I not able to have a lawsuit? Okay, those things are not. You can have both of those. You can receive money from the fund, and if you qualify, you should. You should apply for it and get that money. And if you have a lawsuit and you get a verdict from a jury or you get money from a settlement, those two things don't go together. The only time that may happen is, let's just say you have a lawsuit and you received money from the Victims Fund, right? Let's say you got $10,000 from the Victims Fund. And then you had a lawsuit, and let's say you got $1 million. And what a defendant could say, like MGM, is say, listen, we want a credit. You already got the $10,000 from the fund. We don't want to pay that. We want a credit for that. And they may want to give you $990,000 rather than the $1 million. I think that would be hard to swallow if a defendant in this case, with the liability issues in this case, wanted to get the benefit of money that was donated by the public. But they may do that. I don't know. But that's the only way that may happen. I'll tell you this, I highly doubt any smart individual with these defendants would do something like that. So I'm thinking that they're totally independent and they're not going to have anything to do with one another. What else, Joey?
So I shouldn't consider it double dipping if I receive money from the Las Vegas Victims Fund and then later on receive a settlement from a case.
Sure. So double dipping is this idea is, look, I shouldn't get more money than I should be compensated for my injuries. I shouldn't get double the amount of money. So if I get it from one defendant, I can't get the same amount from another defendant for the same injuries. I get that idea. But this has nothing to do with this. This is an early onset victims fund. Look, we had a tragedy. These people are suffering. They can't work. They have medical bills. They're suffering emotionally. They're having difficulty with their family. They're behind in their bills. This is what that money's for. It's for the immediate needs of the victims. So we don't want to wait. We want them to get their money as soon as possible, and that's what the committee is trying to do. So certainly this is not double dipping. If somebody wants to say it is double dipping, have at it. In my mind, absolutely not. This is immediate needs for the victims, and they should have this money. If somebody later wants to argue that it is double dipping, have at it. I think we'll be fine on that issue.
So you mentioned there's a deadline of January 31st, and that's the deadline for the Las Vegas Victims Fund. But is there any deadline to hire an attorney or to try to bring forward a case?
Okay, good point. So deadline that we're talking about today, the Victims Fund deadline, has nothing to do with the litigation. Victims Fund deadline, January 31st. Okay, got to have it in by January 31st. Have it done. To hire a lawyer, there's not really a deadline to hire a lawyer, but what we have is a statute of limitations. In order to bring a claim in this lawsuit against these defendants, you have 2 years from the date of the incident. So 2 years from October 1st to bring the lawsuit. So you have to bring your claim before the statute of limitation runs. If you don't bring it, then you're barred from bringing it in the future. So you have 2 years to bring a claim. But let's just be honest about this issue. If you don't get to a lawyer soon, your case could be injured because if you wait, you're going to forget key details, you're going to lose information, you're not going to maintain your records, you're not going to get with a lawyer to get your case in front of a court soon. So in my mind, there's no reason to wait. You can always change your mind and say, I don't want to bring a lawsuit. But there's really no reason to actually wait. Other than sometimes, and I've talked to many people about this, is look, I'm still emotionally suffering. I'm still having to deal and grieving a loss. I get that. If you're grieving and you need more time, take your time. It's not a big deal, but when you're ready, get to a lawyer, me or some other good lawyer that can handle the case, and address your issues, find out what your rights are, and move forward. So 2 years is the answer from October 1st, 2017.
All right, thank you. And I'm watching the chat here. We're doing this live, which is awesome. And I'm seeing all of your questions and comments live. If you have any questions that you want, feel free to drop them in the chat. You can email them as well, and we'll try to get to them. I do actually have a question here from Kevin, and it says that we haven't received a lot of facts regarding the shooting this far. Any information that you receive, are you going to make that available to your clients?
Yeah, of course. So during the investigation process, the lawyers, you gather information, and we're gathering information daily within our law firm. We do have that information. Will I tell the public everything we're gathering and show my hand? Probably not. With my clients, if some important development occurs, I generally do share that. One thing that we do when we represent a lot of people is we do bi-weekly emails or monthly emails to update everybody on what they are, what we're finding out or what we're doing. That's just to be able to tell the clients, hey, this is what's going on. This is what we're doing. So yes, we do provide those updates. It is sad that within 7 or 8 days after the shooting, the media response to this was almost zero, and everybody was off to something else, the next news. Part of my job is to make sure for these victims that this shooting remains relevant so we can get answers to it. And the answers will come from evidence, and the evidence comes from our investigations. So we're working hard already, and we will update everybody as we go. But I won't be showing my hand on everything. Joey,
Great.
anything else?
Yeah, well, I think we're running out of time a little bit, so we're going to try to wrap this up. But if people have questions, how can they get those questions to you?
Call my law firm, 713-360-6722. Email us at losvegas@chadpinkerton.com or mandalayvictims.com or chadpinkerton.com. We'll be here to help you. Just answer your questions. You don't have to hire a lawyer to ask a question, certainly. And we'll try to get those answered. I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. We're going to try to do this weekly. Each week there will be a topic. We'll address that topic, and then we'll just go to your questions, and we'll answer the questions as long as we can. I want to stay under that 20 to 30-minute range. It gets a little bit long and boring. Okay. Look forward to seeing you next week. I think it'll be next Thursday, same time, same place.